Congratulations on the purchase of your Hobby Zone Super Cub DSM. This DVD will walk you through some of the assembly, pre-flight, and transmitter binding procedures that are detailed in the owner's manual. Please be sure to read the manual thoroughly before you fly. It contains more detailed information that will ensure your first flight and every flight is a success. Your Super Cub DSM has been carefully packed to protect it during shipping. Take your time when unpacking it to avoid accidental damage to any of the components. Before beginning assembly, you will need to install the batteries in the Spektrum DX4E transmitter and charge the battery pack. Your Super Cub DSM includes a 12-volt DC balancing charger that can be plugged into the power outlet of your car or into a household outlet using the AC adapter that comes with it. To charge the battery pack, first attach it to the charger, then plug it in. Make sure the battery is resting on a heat-resistant surface. While the battery is charging, the charger's LED indicator will blink. The LED will stop blinking when the battery is fully charged and ready to use. Unplug the charger from the outlet and then disconnect the battery. Never leave the battery and charger unattended during the charging process. While the battery pack is charging, you can begin assembly of the Super Cub DSM, starting with the landing gear. Simply insert it into the slot provided on the bottom of the fuselage near the front of the plane. Tug gently to make sure it is secure. Next, attach the plastic landing gear fairings to the bottom of the fuselage using the screws provided. With the landing gear installed, it's time to attach the wing. The Super Cub DSM features a one-piece wing with realistic-looking strut supports. To attach the wing, center it in the wing saddle on the fuselage and secure it in place with the rubber bands provided. Then, attach the wing struts to the fuselage with the screws provided. Always check to ensure the wing is secure and properly centered before each flight. To attach the tail assembly, first slide the vertical stab into the horizontal stab. Next, slide the assembled components into the fuselage using a light amount of pressure. Install the included screws, being careful not to over-tighten them, and check to make sure the entire assembly is secure. Clip the tailwheel wire into the plastic tailwheel housing by pulling it down slightly and pushing on the plastic molding until the two parts click. Make sure you support the tail when you do this so you don't damage the fuselage. Finally, attach the clevis from the rudder pushrod to the outermost hole of the rudder control horn. Then attach the elevator pushrod to the outermost hole of the elevator control horn. Once the wing and tail are attached, it is time to check the controls. To begin the control check, turn on the DX4E transmitter, making sure the throttle stick and trim lever is all the way down. Both trim levers for the right stick should be centered. Next, install the Super Cub DSM battery and connect it, keeping your hands clear of the propeller. With the throttle off and the right stick in the neutral position, confirm the rudder and elevator control surfaces are in alignment with the vertical and horizontal stabilizers. If they are not, check that the right stick trim levers are centered and the elevator and rudder push rods are properly connected. When you've confirmed the control surfaces are aligned, move the right control stick from side to side and up and down to test the control surfaces. Moving the stick to the right should cause the rudder to move to the right. Moving it to the left should cause the rudder to move to the left. Moving the stick back should cause the elevator to move up. Moving it forward should cause the elevator to move down. Next, check the throttle response by holding the tail and moving the throttle stick slightly forward. When the motor begins to turn, move the throttle stick back to the off position. Once you are satisfied that the motor and control responses are correct, you're ready to fly. If you encounter any problems during the test, refer to your owner's manual for troubleshooting assistance before attempting to fly. Before taking your first flight, it's important that you choose a suitable location. You should always fly in a large, open area away from crowds and objects. The Super Cub DSM can cover a lot of ground, so the bigger the flying location, the better. Before you start flying, you need to conduct a range test, as described in the DX4E manual. It's a good idea to have someone hold the Super Cub DSM for you when conducting the test. To hand launch the Super Cub DSM, hold it at the bottom of the fuselage, making sure your fingers and hair are clear of the propeller area. Apply full throttle and firmly toss the Super Cub DSM into the wind using a smooth, level motion. After you have gained more experience, you can try your hand at rolling takeoffs. Pick a large, smooth surface, such as an empty parking lot next to a park or ball field. With the Super Cub DSM pointed into the wind, smoothly apply throttle to gain speed and pull back gently on the joystick. Climb to a safe altitude and enjoy your flight. Once in the air, you will find the Super Cub DSM will turn and climb smoothly with small control inputs. To make a level turn, just move the right control stick in the desired direction, adding a slight amount of back pressure once you're in the turn. Details on advanced elevator control are included in the manual. You should thoroughly read this section before attempting any advanced maneuvers. Revolutionary Hobby Zone Anti-Crash Technology, or ACT, helps to prevent crashes by analyzing the orientation of your plane using two optical lenses. If it senses you're in trouble, it will help you recover. Once you've mastered the basics with ACT on, you can turn it off and try more advanced maneuvers like steep turns, dives, and loops. Complete directions for activating and deactivating ACT are in the manual. Please read them before you fly. When you notice that the airplane no longer climbs or accelerates well under full power, this means the battery is getting low and it's time to land. Line the model up directly into the wind towards the desired landing spot and gradually reduce the throttle. The Super Cub DSM will gently glide down for a landing. Just before touchdown, pull the throttle all the way off and add a slight amount of back pressure on the right stick. Once you've mastered the basics with the Super Cub DSM, you can use the Spektrum DX4E transmitter that came with your plane to fly other aircraft that have DSM receivers simply by binding to them. This includes exciting bind and fly aircraft like Blade ultramicro helicopters and Park Zone ultramicro airplanes. Likewise, the DSM receiver in your Super Cub DSM can be bound to other Spektrum or JR transmitters equipped with DSM technology should you want to upgrade later on. You may even find that you want to rebind the DX4E to the Super Cub DSM. Whatever the case, the binding process is simple and is explained in full detail in your transmitter's manual. To rebind the DX4E or any other DSM transmitter to the Super Cub DSM, insert the orange tagged bind plug into BAT bind connection on the receiver with the battery pack disconnected. Next, connect the LiPo battery pack and watch the LED indication on the receiver. When the LED blinks quickly, the receiver is ready to be bound to your transmitter. With the LED light blinking quickly, turn on your Spektrum transmitter in bind mode and wait a few seconds. You will now notice that the light is blinking slowly. When you are certain the receiver has been bound to the transmitter, disconnect the LiPo battery and remove the bind plug from the receiver. With the bind plug removed, reconnect the flight battery and confirm you have a solid LED indication on the receiver. This indicates that you have successfully bound the receiver to your Spektrum transmitter. Finally, test to make sure the control surfaces move in the correct direction and the throttle is functioning properly. If you have any questions about the binding process, your Spektrum transmitter manual and the Super Cub DSM manual will have complete details. The Super Cub DSM also comes equipped with Hobby Zone's exclusive Export technology. Export lets you add exciting plug-in accessories like an aerial drop module and the Sonic Combat module, each of which is sold separately. The aerial drop module lets you equip the Super Cub DSM with a remotely released parachute or streamer bomb. The Sonic Combat module emits a sonic blast with an effective range of 80 feet that temporarily disables the motor of other planes equipped with the same module. You can find details about both of these exciting export options in your manual. After you've mastered control of your Super Cub DSM and no longer rely on ACT, you may be ready for another challenge: float flying. An optional float set is available for the Super Cub DSM that lets you go from pavement to pond in just minutes. Since the added weight of the floats and their aerodynamic drag will significantly change the flight characteristics of the airplane, you need to be proficient at rolling takeoffs and landings before attempting to fly with them. We hope you enjoy your Super Cub DSM. It's a great introduction to the world of RC flying fun. For the latest Hobby Zone news and information, visit us online at hobbyzonerc.com.